Post.
Okay.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
So can I start?
I guess yes, because the participant can see it on the video later.
Okay. So good afternoon and welcome to our today's course. Today we will outline our structure at the very beginning, because now we have lecture number 5. And first of all, because we haven't seen each other relatively for a long time, I will revise a little. We will summarize legal forms of business and their advantages and disadvantages of individual legal forms of business, mainly of craft business and limited liability company, that are the most common entities here in the Czech Republic, and they are the most relevant for you, I suppose. Then I will outline something about financial planning, because it was our task from the previous lecture, and I obtained just a few financial plans from you, so I would like to outline a few information about it. Then I will move on to presentation of business plan. Next week we have our very last lecture, and I would like you to present your business plans in the form of executive summary or lean canvas or business model canvas. It's up to you. It's your choice. And I would like you to present your plan in a short form, and to present it, to have PowerPoint presentation and share your PowerPoint here with us, your ideas, and we can think about them more deeply. After this section, I will give you some presentation tips, because it's necessary to present, to convince others about your business plan. So you will be given some tips how to manage good PowerPoint presentation. I have here also some videos to switch from time to time, just from my speaking to something else, and also useful links for you that could be inspiring. So welcome again. And first of all, I would like to start with a short summary from the last lecture, because it's a long time to meet here. And first of all, we started to talk about how to get a trade license in the Czech Republic. And I would like to remind you of the main types of trade licenses, because we have general trade licenses, mainly regarding notifiable trades, ohlašovací živnosti in the Czech language, and professional trade licenses, in fact, permitted trades, koncesované živnosti. It's relatively more difficult to be given permission for permitted trades, but it's also possible, of course. So regarding general trade licenses, there are many activities that are included in general trade licenses. For instance, also foreign language teaching, because I know that some of our participants would like to open a language school, or photographs, or something regarding general consulting, etc. And then we have professional trade licenses, and that are more regulated by the government. It's necessary to be given a permission for it from state. Some requirements that are connected with trade license, general requirements, in fact, general rules: the age of 18, your legal capacity, and clean extract from the criminal record. We mentioned it many times before. And then it's necessary to choose the appropriate trade. As I mentioned, we have notifiable trades, ohlašovací živnosti, it's fine just to notify them to the trade licensing office. It's relatively easy, and you will be given your trade license within about 5 days. And we have unqualified trades, vocational trades, and professional trades. During our last lecture, each of you thought about your own business and type of trade license you need. And then we have a relatively more complicated permitted trade, koncesované živnosti. We need some government permission to obtain trade license for permitted trade. And first of all, I would like to remind also something about income tax in the Czech Republic regarding freelancer, regarding these crafts or trade licenses activities. As we mentioned, as a freelancer, your income tax is 15% of your net income. But there is just one easy way. You can also calculate so-called flat rate, což je paušální daň in the Czech language. And it's easier because it's about fixed 60% or 40% of your income instead of real expenses. And yeah, we can see that 60% is the most common for trades, free trades, etc. And it's also easy way how to calculate your expenses, in fact. So flat rate. And then you will be given also your Czech tax identification number. And it's necessary also to register for income taxes and also health insurance, etc. I have more information in our following slides because I would like to focus now on the other forms of business, on corporations. And to summarize something about corporations, as we mentioned during our last lecture, we have so-called general commercial partnership. It's veřejná obchodní společnost in the Czech language, limited partnership, komanditní společnost. These forms are not very common, but here you can find some examples in the Czech Republic. Then limited liability company is the most frequent, the most common type of companies in the Czech Republic, and joint stock company. Regarding limited liability company in the Czech Republic, it's společnost s ručením omezeným, in fact. It's the most common business form, and probably, as we have discussed in our last lectures, many of you think about this type of company. And it is mentioned here that limited liability company is one of the most common business form that is chosen for registration among small and medium-sized businesses. And my following question is if you have ever heard about the abbreviation SME, small and medium enterprises, or SMB, small and medium business, because it's the most common types of business in the Czech Republic. So what does it mean? Each country has its own definition of small and medium enterprises, but mainly there is one rule that is valid for each country. Small and medium-sized businesses have less than 250 employees. So it's the most frequent form of business in each country, and also in the Czech Republic. There is also the rule about annual revenue and value in euros, but the most frequent rule is regarding employees, the number of employees less than 250. And I have just short video here for you, not to be overloaded just by speaking, by talking. I have here one short video about importance of small and medium enterprises, because your business plans are focused mainly on setting up so type of business, small and medium one. So let me outline this video just for a while. I will stop sharing my presentation and I will switch to this video regarding small and medium enterprises. Just 1-2 minutes video. We can watch it together. Okay, I will share the sound and share the screen, and now hopefully it will work properly. So SME, micro, small and medium-sized enterprises.
And medium-sized enterprises, SMEs as they're known, are the economic backbone of Europe, motors of growth, recovery, employment and innovation. So what makes them so important? Micro is defined as 10 employees or fewer with a turnover of 2 million euros or less. Small is 50 employees or fewer with a turnover of 10 million euros or less. Medium equals an enterprise with 250 employees or fewer and an annual turnover of 50 million euros or less. In Europe, there are 23 million SMEs, employing 75 million people. That's 70% of Europe's entire workforce. That makes them a vital asset for Europe's many unemployed seeking work. SMEs represent 99% of all companies in the EU, generating almost 60% of the EU's total company turnover. One of their chief virtues in today's globalized economy is their flexibility, the ability to respond to market needs way beyond Europe and deliver competitive, high-quality products and services.
Okay, it is not relevant for us. Sorry. Now we will focus again on our presentation. So just short video about the importance of small and medium sized enterprises, and to remind of mentioned information about limited liability company. It means SRO in the Czech Republic. It means společnost s ručením omezeným. There are some advantages of limited liability company. For instance, low number of founders. Just one founder is possible. Then there are almost no requirements regarding capital, just 1 Czech crowns. 1 Czech crown in last year or before the year 2014, there was obligatory to insert capital about 200,000 Czech crowns. Now it's just 1 Czech crown, so it's a very small amount. Then there is also more advantages, but also some disadvantages, because it's a relatively longer process to set up limited liability company in comparison with, for instance, craft business. And tax rate is imposed at the number of 19% in comparison with craft business, that is 15% income tax. Okay, so it is limited liability company. It was just for introduction, just some revision from our last lecture. And now I would like to finish this opening part of our today's lecture with summarization of advantages of a craft business. Advantages that the entrepreneur doesn't have to raise the large financial sums because you have to pay just 1,000 Czech crowns for your trade license, and yeah, it's relatively enough, and there is simple administration, but what is relatively risky is your guarantee for the obligation with the entire assets, as we have mentioned, and possibilities to obtain additional financial sources is lower in case of craft business or trade business in comparison with legal entities, for instance, limited liability company. While setting up a corporation, mainly limited liability company, we can mention that there is one advantage because there are personal liability protections, business security, and also easier access to capital. You can be given potential bank loan easier, or it is also easier for you to be given some additional investments from investors. But there are also disadvantages because it's relatively time-consuming process to set up this form of business. There is also double taxation. We mentioned it last time because as a legal company, you have 19% of tax rate, and as a companion, your income is taxed again with 15%. So there is double taxation, in fact. Okay, so not to be overloaded. Now let me switch to something else. If you remember, there was one task from the last lecture, or at the end of last lecture, I gave you one task to be prepared for your future business plan. Your task was to specify, to think about your potential financial plan in a simple form and send it to me. And I was given just one plan, in fact. So I would like to ask you if you thought about it, if you have any business idea and any financial plan, or if you need any help with it, because next week your task will be to present your business plan in a simple form with the help of PowerPoint presentation here in on Zoom. So it will be perfect to be ready for it. And now let me ask our participants. I would like to ask our participants now, just I need to switch on video, and for instance, I would like to ask Lisa about her business plan. Lisa, if I can ask you to unmute your microphone and
yes,
just...
I have already done it.
Good evening. Perfect.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
I haven't sent you my business plan. I think that you have already understood it. Sorry. I think I don't need any help. I just need to make it, write it down, and to present it. And I hope that next week I'll be ready and I'll do my best to do it.
Perfectly done, Lisa.
This time I found a place for a potential cafe, and I know for now that the rent for a month is 19,000 korun, and it will help me to make a business plan according to these dates.
Perfectly done, Lisa. Thank you for this information. In case of need, do not hesitate to send me an email and ask. And next week, I'm looking forward for your presentation. Perfectly done.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, and now we can switch to Natalia. Natalia, I obtained email from you. I know. So what about your business plan? Will you be ready for
I'm
our
sorry.
next presentation?
I'm sorry, my dog is barking. Can you please ask? Oh, now I can. I'm sorry. Just we have already presented some ideas about our, about our business.
Yes.
I'm talking about my colleague Katerina. We decided to work together because we have the same business idea. Our idea, our business idea is in a developing process. We haven't discussed some financial part, yes, yet. And
it's enough. It's perfect.
Truly speaking, I don't know if we have questions, but I think we could have questions. One of the questions you have already answered. You have emailed us. Thank you so much about this, the type of our business.
You are welcome.
Thank you so much. And of course, we have some drafts, but it is in the process of the discussion. But about finance, about risks, we have already spoken about this, but about budget, about money, we haven't discussed it yet. So it is in a working process.
Yeah, thank you very much for this information. It's fine. You can share with us just your ideas in the form of executive summary. It doesn't matter that it is just long-term process to create business plan, I understand, but it will be perfect next week if you, together with your colleague, will present your business idea with the help of PowerPoint presentation, and you can, of course, you can continue with the process. In case of need, do not hesitate to ask.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome. And now I would like to switch to Oksana Paraskeva, if it is possible to unmute your microphone, and what about your business plan?
Good evening. As you remember, I asked you in the last lecture information about registered procedure of journal. Unfortunately, I haven't any information about this. Because that's why, I'm sorry, that's why I cannot finalize my business plan.
Okay, I asked you to send your question to my email, please, because I'm relatively overloaded with many tasks. So please just send me your question, and I will do my best to find appropriate information for you. Okay?
Okay. I write on your email, and maybe this information I will finalize my business plan on this idea, and I have a new business idea. Maybe I'm created 2 business plans for next week.
It's perfect. It's fine. You can choose. Then it will be your choice. Okay. Thank you, Oksana. And
Thank you.
Of course, you can ask in case of need. You can send me the email. Well done. And now I would like to switch to Tanya. Tanya, what about you and your business plan?
Hi, I'm in process of developing business plan, and I will be ready next week with PowerPoint presentation because I have all parts already, and I have to finalize it all. And I can I will present it next week.
Yeah, of course, I understand. Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you very much for this information. Well done. In case of need, do not hesitate to ask. And now we can switch to Victoria.
Hello. Yeah, I'm ready. I prepared my business plan and I sent to your email. And I will presentation next week.
Next week. Perfectly done. I'm looking forward to all your presentations. Perfect. So It will be just a task. And now just let me remind a few facts about business plan, because you can choose the form regarding your business plan for the purpose of our presentation or for the purpose of your future presentation at the conference, for instance. It's relatively useful because, yes, we know that it's our roadmap that is helpful to us to reach our business goals. And we outlined, or we introduced a few forms of a business plan, possible forms. And as I mentioned, there is just elevator pitch. In fact, during our each lecture, you introduced us your elevator pitches, because it is just oral form to deliver your ideas. 2-minute presentation, just oral presentation. But for the purpose of next week, it's fine to have at least executive summary in the form of written plan. It means you can have your plan, your goals, etc. in PowerPoint. It's a PowerPoint presentation that should be particularly attractive and convincing for potential investors, etc. And then we have short or complete business plan. It depends on our plans with cooperation. For instance, we don't want to outline all our information, our know-how, so we have shorter form of business plan, and in the complete form we are sharing all the information. And we outlined also form of lean canvas and business model canvas. You can choose also one of these two forms that are relatively useful, and we will work with them more deeply in a while. Do you remember the basic business goals? Anyone? Do you remember it from our very first lecture? Which business goals can we have? The most common business goals.
Profit.
Profit, yeah, perfectly said. Is the most important and the most common business.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just forgot about it, but of course we were thinking about some kind of increasing mutual knowledge if you're talking about our business idea and so on. But the main profit, I think, it doesn't matter what business you have, it's profit.
Yeah. It's the most important goal, of course, to reach a reasonable profit. And also we must think about our liquidity, because it's necessary to be able to pay for our obligations each day. And we must be liquid enough money, enough cash, because there is a difference between profit and cash. And it means that we must think about our liquidity. And regarding your business goals, I would like to remind you of so-called SMART goals. Do you remember this abbreviation? What does it mean? SMART goals. Anyone can answer. SMART goals. What does it mean? Because yes, your goals should be SMART goals regarding your business plan. So just let me summarize these goals for you to remind you of them, because the goals should be as specific as you can specify them, because there should be simple and significant. So you should outline them as clearly as possible. Then measurable and achievable at the same time, because you must be motivated to reach these goals. Then also relevant and realistic. In fact, it is not very motivating to have unrealistic goals because we need to reach them, and also time-based, time-limited, because it's also very important to think about our future plans, our time, for instance, 1 year future business prognosis or 1 year business plan or 3 years. It's necessary to be ready for future years. Of course, we will just estimate it, but it's necessary to have some time limits. And regarding traditional business plan, of course, you can present this form of business plan next week, and it consists of so-called executive summary. It's short form or shorter form of business plan where you introduce your own business. You will describe your company, market, your products and services in the written form, in the form of PowerPoint. You can also outline your marketing plan, logistic plan, and financial plan, as we mentioned last week. And the following section will be about financial plan. I would like to remind you some aspects from financial plan to be sure with it. Your executive summary is usually 1 page that gives relatively clear overview of your main business ideas to potential investor. And my following question is, do you remember the difference between business model canvas and lean canvas? Is there any difference in your opinion? Because you can choose also the form of business model canvas and lean canvas for the purpose of our presentation. So is there anyone who knows lean canvas or business model canvas? Because these two forms are relatively well organized, well balanced. Lean canvas is 1-page business plan template that is used mainly for startups, and business model canvas is a little more complicated, but not so much. We can remind of the main form of business model canvas and lean canvas. Business model canvas is used mainly for existing companies, while lean canvas for startups. And lean canvas is focused more on customer segment and unfair advantage and some problem that you are solving. We can also remind of the segments of business model canvas, because there are, for instance, channels, customer relationships, revenue streams, key resources, key activities. In fact, 9 elements that are important to cover. And we can see also the example of business model canvas. There are some information that should be given to each segment regarding these nine segments. For instance, regarding your key resources, what specific key resources or assets are necessary for you to deliver your value, something new that you are creating. So it's relatively well arranged, well organized, well prepared model or template. I have here also the example regarding concrete business model canvas. So you can be inspired by this presentation because it is available in Moodle for you, so you can be inspired with it. But we have also lean canvas that is focused more on problem, and it's solving possible its solution. And it's relatively clear and simple form of your business plan. And I have here one short video regarding clean canvas to remind of it, not to be overloaded just by information from myself. Let me now share this short video about lean canvas to remind of it, because for the purpose of next week's presentation, you can choose also this form of presentation. So let me share this video that is focused on example of Uber for you. So I will share my sound and share my screen, and hopefully it will be okay for you.
Hi, this is Anna at Railsware. Today we will have a look at the Lean Canvas, a tool designed by Ash Maria to help startups analyze the strengths and weaknesses of their business model. And also we will practice using Lean Canvas on the Uber example. To work out your business activities, you need a business plan. A good business plan requires a massive amount of work. But how can you verify your idea before investing so much time and effort? Lean Canvas can help you with that. You need a lean canvas if you want to create a product that will be in demand in the fast-changing market. This tool allows startup founders to mitigate the risk and uncertainty associated with the product inception. The lean canvas is a one-page document consisting of 9 boxes to be filled in. It originates from Alex Osterwalder's business model canvas. Initially, the last one was designed for well-established businesses and not really applicable to startups. That's where Lean Canvas comes in. Its key difference from the business model canvas is its problem-solution-oriented approach and focus on the customer. To address this, the 4 business model canvas boxes, namely key partners, key activities, key resources, and customer relationships, were replaced with problem, solution, key metrics, and unfair advantage respectively. That helps founders focus their products on resolving their customers' problems instead of specific features of the product. In practice, it doesn't take a huge amount of time to fill in the Lean Canvas. We recommend you to stick to the following order, but it's not obligatory, and you're free to choose the way you feel comfortable with. Let's do this together through the example of the world-known peer-to-peer ride-sharing app, Uber, back when it was getting off the ground. We should start by defining the target customer. Many startup founders suffer from a common misconception called "everybody needs my product." Narrow down the customer segment as accurately as possible. You'll be able to expand it later on if you blossom out. Uber offers its service to passengers and drivers. The passenger segment can be split narrower by demographics, type of usage, and socioeconomic characteristics. Drivers also divide into users who opt for Uber as the full-time job solution and those who leverage it in addition to their main job. It's best to mark each segment in different colors your convenience. In the early adopters section, you can specify the actual people who will be the first to use the raw product and provide feedback. These may include first customers, developers, friends, and even you, the startup founder. In the problem box, we refer to customer problems that your product is meant to solve. If you have several customer segments with different problems, you may make separate canvases for each of them. Here, we have specified problems for passengers and drivers separately. Therefore, we get such problems as expensive taxi service, availability of cabs, long waiting time during the rush hours, advanced booking is often required, and lack of driver profile for passengers. Drivers need extra income, a part-time job opportunity, and awareness of who they are going to drive. In the existing alternatives section, you should place your closest competitors that are already solving the specified problems. We split the Uber existing alternatives according to different user segments. So passengers can opt for public transport, a taxi service, or ride with a friend. And drivers are limited to taxi service and other full or part-time jobs to get income.
Well, it's enough for us because the problem is the most important part. But of course, we need to know each section, each part, and we need to cover them. So I will give you a link to this video because I will insert it to the chat window and you can watch it later more deeply if you are or want to be inspired by lean canvas model. So just let me insert it to the video for your future information, inspiration. It's about lean canvas, and there you will find relatively useful information about lean canvas. And now we can continue with our presentation because I would like to focus more on financial planning. Financial planning is also your task because it's necessary to cover this section in your business plan. And what is necessary? It's necessary to forecast your future finances, but also your budget for your potential expenses, some potential sources, additional sources, and then you can find a way how to grow your business in the future. So what we need to know regarding our financial plan, how much money we need in the startup phase at the very beginning of our business, because it is called also starting capital. And we don't need any revenues in this phase. So it's necessary to think about these sources. And from what sources do you plan to get it? Because we need to have some cash at the very beginning of our business. And do we have enough cash, our own equity, or do we need any loan? Is it possible for us to be given this loan from bank, from potential investor, etc.? So we can think about our starting capital in the startup phase. Then we have to think about our capital requirements plan regarding some revenues, costs that we are expect, and the perfect way how to create it is to think about next 3 years. It's very long time, I know, and we really don't know what to expect in such a long time. But it's fine to outline financial projection within the next 3 years. And we can think about our profitability forecast and also liquidity plan. And regarding liquidity plan, my question is, and today we answered this question, in fact, why is it necessary to think not only about your future profit, but also about your cash flow? What's the main reason, anyone? Do you know the answer? Why is it necessary to think about cash flow, not only profit, but also your cash flow? Okay, because it's necessary to think about liquidity, to have enough money to pay for our obligations, because profit is just derived from revenues and costs, but our cash is also necessary to have enough cash each day to pay for our obligations. Well, and I have here one just very short video about financial planning, so we can remind of the main aspects of financial planning, and then I will give you this link. I will insert it again for your inspiration to the chat window. Okay, so now let me switch to this video about financial planning. because it's also important part of your business plan. It's rather nice, animated, but it is useful video. So let me share it with you, and very short video. And the main aspects of financial plan are outlined there.
What does the financial section of the business plan look like? Nothing works without money, which is why financial planning is at the core of every business plan. The financial section of the business plan should address the following points. How much money will you need in the startup phase, and from what sources do you plan to get it? To clarify this point, you need a capital requirements plan, which covers all long, medium, and short-term investments, running costs during the startup phase, and all initial setup costs. You also need to outline the revenue and costs you can expect over the next 3 years. This calculation shows how much profit you can expect to realize in this period. A 3-year revenue and profitability forecast summarizes this information. The figures must stand up to plausibility checks. Sound financial planning also includes a liquidity plan. A company is liquid or solvent if it has sufficient revenue, reserves, and/or credit facilities to cover its costs at all times. Here is a useful hint. For young companies, the 3rd year is often critical. That is why this period is covered in the financial section of the business plan. Many young companies make a profit for the first time in their 2nd year, which means that trade and income tax must be paid retroactively in the 3rd year, at the same time as advanced tax payments for the future. This is also often the year in which repayment of startup loans must begin. All these factors place heavy demands on your liquidity. It is therefore important to plan ahead if you want to achieve lasting success. A robust business plan is also a precondition for credit negotiations with banks. Okay, got that?
Okay, so it was our short video about financial planning, and now let me give you the link also to our chat window. Hopefully it is visible for you, and you can use it later, watch it later. Well, and now let me get back to our presentation, because regarding financial planning, it's necessary to create, in fact, 3 statements, or to think about them. It's income statement and balance sheet, and also cash flow statement, as it was mentioned in the video. And regarding our cash flow, as I mentioned, we need to think about cash, about some main activities that are generating our cash, because there is difference between profit and cash. So cash inflows and outflows are involved in the cash flow, real cash, real money. Then we have our income statement or profit and loss statement, výkazisku a ztráty in the Czech language. And it's a clear view of our income and expenses, our revenues and expenses. And as you can see here, we have here some incomes from our sales, services, etc., and also our expenses. And at the end of the year, we have some profit or loss. And the next or the last statement is balance sheet. And balance sheet shows our assets and liabilities. Regarding our assets, it's in fact our cash, what we have, then our inventory, our buildings. And on the other hand, we have our liabilities that are covering our assets. In fact, we need our liabilities to buy our assets to cover them. And for instance, we have here account payables and some loans from banks and from our suppliers, some short-term loans, etc. And also there is also our equity, own capital, in fact, that we have, and it's our own source. We can see it here in this slide because we have on one hand our assets, cash, inventory, current assets and long-term assets, and we have also our liabilities. On one hand we have some debt, and then we have our own equity. So this is the last statement for us. And we must also think about financial projections. We need to create them, and it's just a plan. It is relatively hard to create some plan for 3 years. It's fine to focus on more scenarios. For instance, we can have some pessimistic scenario, optimistic and realistic, and it depends on the volume of our goods or services that will be offered on the market, on our sales, in fact. So we should be realistic, but it's fine to think also about some pessimistic scenario and optimistic scenario. It is not easy to create appropriate financial projection, but it's relatively useful for our investor or for our bank. I have here one example regarding the Czech financial plan. I have here in the Czech language some potential costs that are connected with pessimistic variant. It's the first one, just 120 pieces a month that are sold. Then we have realistic variant. It is in the middle, 180 pieces of our goods, we can also, of course, offer our services, and we can also have some realistic scenario, and we are in the middle, in fact, regarding our assumptions. And we have also optimistic variant. It's the right one, and here we have some optimistic scenario which is connected with selling 240 pieces of our goods. And regarding our costs, now we can focus more on our revenues. And yeah, it's the same, pessimistic, realistic, and optimistic scenario regarding our revenues. And we can put costs and revenues together to one table. And we can see that there is the last line. The last line is called hospodářský výsledek. It means profit or loss. It means the difference between the revenues and costs that are in our forecast. So it's fine to think about such scenarios. It is not obligatory for you for the purpose of our next lecture, for instance, but it could be inspiring for you for your business plan presentation. Okay, and now I would like to focus on one video that will remind you of setting of a craft business and some steps that are connected with it, and then short information about limited liability company, because today we discussed these two forms, and for the purpose of the next week, I suppose that many of you, or the most of you, will have business plan that is connected with these two forms. So in our last 30 minutes, we will remind of these steps. There will be also time for your potential questions. And I have here also one quiz for you to summarize the things that we have covered today. And I would like to also outline some tips regarding presentation, because it's necessary to present with, for instance, with enthusiasm and with some clear structure of our presentation. So today I would like to outline very shortly also some presentation tips. But now, regarding our financial plan or the information that I have already covered, do you have any question? Are there any questions that I can answer now? If you have any, do not hesitate to ask, because we have covered some information about craft business and limited liability companies, and also form of business plans, financial planning. So now I have one useful link for you, and let me just to play the beginning of this video that is about the individual steps, how to get a trade license in the Czech Republic. So we will watch just the beginning of this video together, and I will give you the link because it's useful for you, I would say. So now just the beginning of this video, because it's longer, it's the longer one, but I'm finding it useful.
So stick with me. So step number one, decide if the trade license is actually the best way of starting a business in the Czech Republic. Step two, determine or find out if you need qualified or unqualified trade license, because the difference can be pretty significant in terms of required documents, how long it takes, how complicated it will be to get the trade license. Step number three, collect the required documents, which means your passport or national ID if you're an EU citizen, plus your visa, business address, criminal check, trades, choose the trades you want to include in the trade license, pay 1,000 crowns admin fee, and power of attorney. If you want us, for example, to do it on your behalf, we'll need a power of attorney for that. Step number four, submit all the documents, wait for the approval of the trade license, and collect it. None of that can be done online at this point in the Czech Republic in 2023. Step number five, get registered with all the relevant subsequent authorities, so tax office, social security, and in some cases also the health insurance. And step number six, start paying everything you're supposed to pay. So that's usually the social security, and then income tax at the end of the year. In some cases also the healthcare on monthly basis. And don't forget to do your taxes. And then within the full video, I will also be talking more about like pausing and canceling the trade license.
Okay, so just for your information, this video with a step-by-step process how to get a trade license. And let me give this link to the chat window for you, because it is very useful and you can be inspired with it, how to get a trade license in the Czech Republic. And I will insert these links also to the Moodle to be well organized for you. So how to get a trade license for the craft business. And now one video that is connected with setting up the limited liability company, okay? And then we will switch to one quiz for you, because I would like to summarize the tips from our today's lecture together with you. So, limited liability company, it's very short video, but hopefully it will work. So thank you for your patience. Okay. Well done. So I'm sorry, I must find this video, but doesn't matter. We can focus now on the next presentation with short quiz that I will share with you. It is about what we have covered today, and let me share it with you now. So it's quiz. Is it visible for you now? Do you see my presentation with quiz? Anyone?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback. Perfect. So, I have here, first of all, the definition of the entrepreneurship in the Czech Republic. What is valid for entrepreneurship? Because it's based on one rule, which is called občanský zákoník or civil code in the Czech Republic. And what is valid for entrepreneurship? We have here a few choices, and just one is correct. You have time to read it firstly, and you can think about the correct answer. Anyone? So now you have time to read the possibilities, the possible answers. If it is even one-time activity that is connected with making a profit, if it is regulated by some rules that are outlined there, and also there is other choice. So what do you think about the correct answer? Is there anyone who would like to guess? Sorry.
I like B and C.
B and C, yeah, thank you for your answer. B is correct, definitely, because entrepreneurship is regulated by the law of business corporations and also civil code. To znamená zákon o obchodních korporacích in the Czech language. Civil code is občanský zákoník in the Czech language. And law on trade, business, živnostenský zákon or trade licensing act, in fact. And C is nice. Yeah, it's nice to think about motivation regarding the desire to satisfy other people's needs. But in fact, it's just our desire, because the main purpose is to make a profit. Yeah, it's relatively cruel, but it's the fact. So B is the most correct answer. Okay. Now we have here something about unlimited company. Unlimited company, it's VOS, in the Czech Republic, veřejná obchodní společnost. What do you think about the correct answer? Just one answer is correct.
I think it's maybe C.
Yeah, perfectly said. Thank you, Tanya. Two persons did agree that will be do business under a common name. At least two. Perfectly done. Unlimited company, VOS. And now we can switch to the next slide. We have here the example of Peter. Peter would like to start a business. He would like to open a cafe in the center of Prague together with his friend. But each of them has a different approach to risk. Which legal form of business could be convenient for Peter? What do you think? Do you have any tip?
Maybe то, что называется SRO, společnost.
Společnost s ručením omezeným.
Ano.
Yeah. Of course, thank you, Tanya. Perfect. They can set up společnost s ručením omezeným because the risk is limited there. And also it's fine to agree on potential risk regarding the agreement between or among companions. But what is also convenient form for such a business is so-called limited partnership. It means komanditní společnost, Czech language. Společnost komanditní, there are two companions and each of them has different approach to risk. So there are more options. And now let me switch to the next slide. Yes, we have here. Next question. If you want to work as a tax advisor, is it necessary to study Trade Licensing Act? What do you think about this question?
Of course, it's necessary.
Yeah, of course, it's fine to know something about Trade Licensing Act. But in fact, the job of tax advisor is not included in the Trade Licensing Act because it's a very specific job and there are some boards that are checking, are controlling these professions like, for instance, tax advisors and auditors and doctors, etc. For tax advisor, daňový poradce in the Czech language, it's komora daňových poradců, in fact. So it's necessary to focus on the rules of these chambers that are controlling these professions, but it's fine to know something about Trade Licensing Act, but it is not included in it because it's special and relatively complicated job. Okay, and now the next question. We have here the example of Jana or Jane. Jane is very good at baking. It's her hobby, and sometimes she bakes a pie or cake for her relatives and friends just for the expenses. What do you think? Is this a business or entrepreneurship for Jane or not?
I think no business because making baking for only her friends and relatives. If she make doors in another sladkosti for another person, so it will be business and must have trade license.
Perfectly said. Thank you very much, Oksana, for your answer. You are right, because this activity is not done because of profit, making a profit, just for expenses, just for costs. And also it is not continuous activity. It's just Jane bakes just from time to time. And regarding entrepreneurship and its definition in civil code, it must be continuous activity. Perfectly done. Okay, and now one of the last questions. You are the sole owner of the business, you can imagine it, and you decide between the legal form SRO and craft. Sorry, I have your mistake. There should be, instead of businesses, there should be trade license or craft. And you would like to manage your company by yourself. And what is the most important fact or aspect for you is your limited obligation or limited liability. Which legal form of business would you prefer? You would like to decide between limited liability company or craft business or trade business, and you don't like risk, simply said. Which type of company should you set up?
Maybe the first variant, společnost omezená.
Thank you, Tanya. Perfectly said, because yeah, it is connected also with the name of the company, and it's limited liability company, společnost s ručením omezeným, because you are not obliged for the liability. It's just limited participation there. Perfectly said. Thank you for your answers regarding this quiz. And just one very last information, just to remind you. I have here a question: which important Czech institutions are connected with starting a business in the Czech Republic? And not to forget, we have Trade Licensing Office, that is Živnostenský úřad, also Business Register or Commercial Register, it's a synonym, obchodní rejstřík, Tax Office, that is finanční úřad, in fact, Health Insurance Company, and also Social Security Administration, Checkpoint, etc. So many institutions that could be very important for us to start a business. So it was our quiz, and our very last point for today, as I have promised, is to outline just in a few words something about presentation of business plan, because for the next week, let me share the screen again. And for the purpose of next week, we have our lecture next Tuesday. Your task will be to present your business plan, as you know, in its complete form, or the form should be as complete as possible. Of course, there is no need to complete it if it is in process, but it will be fine to outline some information about your plan in the written form in the presentation. And you can prepare a presentation in PowerPoint with your main business idea, your business goals, financial plan, and then business plan will be presented. You can also choose executive summary or business model canvas, lean canvas. And I have here one tip or one very last video that is inspiring how to present, how to manage presentations with enthusiasm, to be as persuasive as we can. It is called Present Like Steve Jobs. And let me outline this video shortly for you. Then I will insert the link again for you to the chat window, and we can be inspired with this video. Okay, it's out today's very last video with Steve Jobs presentations, because Steve Jobs was the master of presentation. And let me share it with you, because we will manage it in about last 5 minutes. Then there will be time for your potential questions if you need any. Today I have to finish at 7 because I have another meeting. I'm sorry for it, but in case of more questions, you can send me an email, and do not hesitate to ask if you need. So now the video for you. Do you see now the video or not?
No, unfortunately.
No. Okay, so thank you. Now I will share it together with you and hopefully it will be visible. Now it is visible for you. Do you know video?
Yes,
Yes, yes, we
Thank
see.
you. Thank you very much. So we will watch this video or a part of this video and I will give you the link. It's very useful. How to present.
Anyone who has watched a Steve Jobs keynote will tell you he is one of the most extraordinary speakers in corporate America.
Who does the best job of that in the world?
While most presenters simply convey information, Jobs inspires. I'm Carmine Gallo, and today I'll walk you through several key techniques that Steve Jobs uses to electrify his audience. They're elements you can adopt in your very next presentation.
Welcome to Macworld 2008. We've got some great stuff for you. There's clearly something in the air today.
With those words, Jobs opened Macworld 2008, setting the theme for his presentation and hinting at the major announcement of the day, the launch of the ultra-thin MacBook Air. Whether it's a new notebook or the iPhone, Jobs unveils a single headline that sets the theme.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Once you identify a theme, make sure it's clear and consistent throughout the presentation. Think of a staff meeting as a presentation. So let's say you're a sales manager introducing a new software tool to help your team generate, track, and share sales leads. You might kick off your meeting this way. Good morning. Thanks for coming. I know you'll be really excited about this. Today we make it easier for you to make your quota. That's the headline. Easier to make quota. It's memorable and it sets the direction for the rest of your meeting. It gives your audience a reason to listen.
So I've got 4 things I'd like to talk about with you today. So let's get started.
Steve Jobs always provides an outline for his presentation and then verbally opens and closes each section with a clear transition in between. Here's an example.
So that's Time Capsule, a perfect companion to Leopard, and that's the first thing I wanted to share with you this morning.
The point is, make it easy for your listeners to follow your story. Your outline will serve as guideposts along the way. You'll also notice that during his presentations, Jobs uses words like extraordinary, amazing, and cool. He is passionate, enthusiastic, and it shows.
Incredible, unbelievable, amazing, awesome, extraordinary year for Apple.
You know, your audience wants to be wowed, not put to sleep. Too many people fall into this presentation mode. It's stiff, it's formal, it lacks pizzazz. We, your listeners, are giving you permission to have fun and to be excited about your company, your product, or your service. If you're not passionate about it, we're not going to be.
Okay, so very inspiring video, and let me insert the link to the chat window because it's relatively useful for us and you can watch it later because, as you know, your presentation